What's going on, everyone? It's Biles, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Report. So the Fremantle and St Kilda game just finished. Bit of a sloppy game, that one. Not probably as clean as what other games have been this round. But thank you for joining me live on Sunday night. So if you are new around here, make sure you leave a like on the video if you're enjoying the content and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But let's get stuck into the games and what happened in that round. I've got a hair stuck on my hat there. There we go. First of all, I'll start off with how I went this round. So without Will Brodie's score being sort of 100% locked in if there's any stat corrections at the end of the game, I scored 21.48 up from my about 29,500. Didn't have the best round one. I'm now up to 15,436. Obviously, with stat change, that could change and go a little bit more out. But pretty happy to halve my ranking in a week. Obviously, there's a few players in the team that weren't great, and we can obviously improve on that. But quick +3, -3. I think I'd got to give the +3 to my captain for the week, Lachie Neale, 145. Went absolutely bonkers in the second half, 99 points in the second half. He was just brilliant. He looks back to his best, and I'll obviously discuss him in a little bit more detail when I go over that game. And then in terms of the -3, probably got to give it, unfortunately, to Matt Rao. And 46 is obviously he doesn't mark the ball a lot, but you'd expect a little bit more, like at least a 70 on a bad game. But 46, that's sort of, again, I'll discuss him as well when I go in depth in that game. But yeah, he's potentially on the trade block for me this week. He might be moved on maybe a week or so, maybe a few weeks too early. But yeah, but special mention to -3, Pat Lipinski, brought him in this week. I was hot on him all week. And then I go to watch the Crows game, and I thought, oh, yeah, he'll play well against us. And he didn't really have the best game. But again, I'll discuss him as well. So let's get stuck into the round that was round 2. So we'll start off with Friday night. If you want to check what I thought of the Thursday night game, the Carlton Bulldogs game, make sure you check out the weekend forecast, the start of it. I go through that game at the start. So if you want to check out my thoughts on that game, then check that out as well. So Callum Mills. So Sydney Geelong is a game we're going to be going through, the Friday night game. Callum Mills, 117. I did predict at the start of the year he was my pick to go that 115 plus, even though Andrew Brayshaw's looking like that guy at the moment. But yeah, Callum Mills, 117, looked very, very good. He's not playing as like heavy midfield minutes and as much, obviously, working, building up to full fitness after that Achilles problem at the end of last season, then in the preseason. But he looked good. He scores points in bunches, as we've spoken about on this channel before, and he's a good player in terms of he gets a lot of marks, a lot of tackles, so he can boost his score up from your basic hundreds to your 120 plus scores. Not quite the 120 plus, but look good. So if you've got him, then you'll be impressed with what you saw. And then obviously for people that don't own him, then it's something to watch as he builds his fitness and that over the next few weeks. Brad Close played well, 110. If you had him in your draft side, I don't think many people would have, but if you did, then that was good. He played well. With 4 goals. Isaac Heaney, 107. Had to kick 5 goals for that. So 21 touches, played a little bit of midfield as well. In terms of CBAs, because for some reason I can't add them on the AFL app for some reason. I've tried to. If anyone can help me with that, I've tried adding it, and I go add that, kick-ins, and then kick-in play-ons, and it won't add them for some reason. So I don't exactly know why that is the case, but AFL Statsman is normally where I pick up these CBAs from. So in terms of the Sydney Geelong game, so Isaac Heaney went to 6. So not a great deal. Obviously, Chad Warner coming in, he went to 15. He was always going to take a fair few. So with Heaney, if you've got him, you'd be very, very happy. I'm probably not going to jump on this week. I'll probably watch him another week against the Dogs. And if he can have another good game, then I'll look at bringing him in. I think he's fine. I'm not saying that. I'm just personally, for me, I want to watch him for one more week and see him do it for a third game in a row, because we've seen him in the past do 2 good games, then he plays forward. He still did play forward at times, but what he did what Dunkley does, where pushing up the ground, going at ball ups around the ground and pushing up, getting marks. So he only took the 2 marks, but you get what I mean with Heaney. So he was doing that. Jake Lloyd, 106. He was quite quiet in the first half. He still got 40-odd points, but he had a decent second half. I think numbers were a little inflated for some defenders because at the end they sort of, for the last couple of minutes, Obviously, with Buddy King, his sound goal, the last 6 minutes are a bit weird. So, and I know Lloyd took a few marks late in the game, but 106, you're happy with that if you own him. I don't think many people do because of him being out for round one, but if you do, that's nice. Good for 93. Guthrie 92, probably exact. Again, if you paid up for that, you're not really too happy with that. You want it a little bit more, but again, I understand that the last bit of the game was affected, but 90, so you'd still expect a bit more than that. Who else we got here? So we got Mitch Duncan on 80. Again, first game back, so just good to see him get some run in the legs as well. And Adam, I will get to your question as well when I answer the questions a little bit later. So if you are here, just stick around for that and I'll answer. And if you've got any other questions as well for your teams, leave them in the live chat or in the comment section below. If you're watching on replay, leave your +3s, -3s, your trade questions, trade scenarios, whatever you want. I'll get to them whenever I can. So Tom Stewart, 75 again, quite underwhelming. 77 and 75 in his 2 games start of the year. Again, I thought he'd be more a safe 85 plus. With the first 2 weeks, hasn't really looked like he's not getting a lot of those chip balls around the back, and Geelong haven't been looking to do that as much. So maybe that hurts Stewart. Maybe Stewart goes down from averaging 95 to maybe 85, 90 maybe, which would mean that he's probably not going to be a top 6 defender. So just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned with him 2 weeks in a row. I wouldn't trade him out yet. I'd watch probably for another week or so, but because we saw a lot with Crisp, like you trade your premiums out, you pay the price when they come back and they score big. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Paddy McCartan, 66. Like he got 2 kick marks in the last couple of minutes, and I was hoping just for him to get to 60. He got to 66. That was obviously good if you had him on field. I know a lot of people did this week with McInerney and Miller being out. But yeah, 66, you'd be very happy with that on field. I was just hoping for a 50 plus, and that would have been good enough for me, and he got a 66. So tick, and he'll be making more cash, which is always very nice. Dangerfield, only 50, very quiet, very, very quiet. Only if you've got him, you could move him on. If you don't have like a Cripps, for example, I'd move on to a Cripps. Who else have you got? Maybe Tom Green. If you don't have Tom Green, you've got another 100 today. You could move on to him, or you could move up. Andrew Brayshaw is obviously great today, so if you want to go up, but I'd be looking at moving him on because he's not going to be a top 8 midfielder. But it'd be a luxury move if you've got it. If you've got other problems to deal with, then obviously don't trade him out. But if you've got nothing to deal with, if you've got all your rookies sorted, you've got close enough to 30 grand. So if you had DeConning and Nick Martin on your bench and that was it, they'll come back this week. Nick Martin's already said, Ben Rutten said he'll come back this week. But obviously Sam DeConning should come back in. So if you've got no other issues, Dangerfield, yeah, he still attended 22 CBAs as well. He's not going to be as bad as that in the future, but he's just not going to be a top 8 midfielder. So if you're looking to move someone on, and this is probably a good time to move someone on like Danger, because he's probably not going to get forward. I don't know if he's going to get forward status. He's not playing enough forward either, which is weird because you think a low score he would have been playing forward. And then we've got at the bottom here, Tyson Stingway, 21. I did mention this on the weekend forecast. I said if you're looking at bringing him in, I wouldn't have brought him in because he scored 100, which is great, but he had 7 shots on goal. And small forwards are prone to this. They can always have a bad game. He'll probably be better next week, probably get you a 60 or a 70. But unfortunately, with small forwards, that's unfortunately what you get. So, yeah, if you've got him as one, if you held him, then he's still going to make a little bit more money. I don't know if I trade him out yet, but yeah, that's just something to think about in the next few rounds. So moving on to Collingwood and Adelaide, the first game on the Saturday. So we'll start at the top. So we've got Ben Keys, 131, continuing on from his 132 last week. So people that thought, again, I would still want to see him doing this with Rory Laird in the side as well, and Sloan and Crouch, and when their whole midfield's there. If he's doing this still, then this is a guy that you can definitely consider, because I know a lot of people probably don't think it's not a sexy name for a lot of people, but he does mark the ball a lot. He does get a lot of touches. He's only got 2 on the weekend. He got a lot of touches. He has an all-round game. If he's doing this with all of them in, it could be a very good discussion potentially of a guy that could be in the top 12 to 15 mids potentially. It's still very expensive. I don't think you'd be bringing him in, but yeah, just don't know. Just have to see exactly what he does over the next few weeks. Jack Chris, 126, rebounded strongly after his 51. 3,000 people traded him out. I hope anyone watching wasn't one of the ones that got rid of him, because you wouldn't have been enjoying watching that, because he played a decent amount of midfield time as well and looked good doing it. So he'll be fine. Top 6 defender, he will be. If you trade him out, then I guess if you trade him out to someone like a Sicily or a George Hewitt, and then use that money to go maybe Miller to maybe a Dawson or a Houston or something like that, then I can understand why you did it. But yeah, unfortunately, he just he scored really well. So there you go. So in terms of Collingwood CBAs, Chris got 13, so about not quite half. So there you go. Jordan Dawson won 11. Again, he looked really good. He went forward in the third quarter, I think it was. I didn't understand that. I don't know why the coaches at the Crows are moving Dawson forward and midfield and on a wing, back, forward. Like, just keep him in one spot and leave him at half back, because he is got a penetrating left foot from half back. He takes the kick-ins, which is great. He's got a booming left foot. Him or Brody Smith, the two guys you want the ball in the hands taking the kick-outs, or put Dawson on a wing or in defence. Stop stuffing around with this forward business. If anyone from the Crows coaching panels watching this, please stop stuffing around with Dawson, because he's one of our best players, and you can't get settled into a new club if you're bouncing around different roles. Just get him settled in one role and leave it at that. Like Miller last week, then he was playing in defence, we chucked him forward. If he play his defender, winger, leave him there. Like, seriously. But Dawson, good. If you held him, then 111 you're paid back, and he's not a bad option to bring in as well. Just not, I think he'd be close to 750 this week. So be around the top 6 defenders, and because he's a bit cheaper than the guys above him, if you don't have the money to go up to him, he's not a bad option. Matt Crouch, 104. Again, I was very impressed with the first half. He played about 81 or 83% game time, and then the second half, they just put him on the bench for long periods of time, and he played 74%, which on one hand is an improvement on last week. He played about 66%, so obviously 74%, it's a good increase, but the last quarter was hardly on at all. I don't know if that was because the game was sort of out of reach, so they just didn't want to put him out there. But 104, you're still happy with that anyway. But he was on 88 at 3/4 time, looking like a 110 was coming, and then because he didn't play in the last quarter, so yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Maybe he's not going to make as much money, but you're not going to trade Matt Crouch at this point. He's going to get at least your 85 plus pretty much every week. Brody Smith, 102 as well. He played quite well. And funny enough, it's funny because four of the 5 people that got 100 were all Crows players, but Collingwood just had a better effort across the 22 players, and you had like a fair few people getting the 90s and 80s for Collingwood. So we got DeGoey on 88. I think he had a stat. I think he was close to 96. So I had a couple of tackles removed or something after. But yeah, 10 to 19 of 24 centre bounces. He looks like he's playing a decent heavy midfield role, maybe like 75-25. So if you're looking at bringing him in, he's not a bad option to bring in. If he's playing this role, he's probably going to be a top 6 forward. Brody Grundy, 82. Bit disappointing. Grundy and Gawn have been quite underwhelming, obviously, the first 2 rounds. Grundy in the first game wasn't bad, except for that one quarter, the second quarter, where he only got like 5 points, and he got 96, so that would have been a 110. But yeah, only 82 points. Yeah, I'm not sure with the rucks. Again, I wouldn't be overreacting yet. It's only 2 games for these big ruckmen. We know that Gawn and Grundy get better as the year goes on, so you're likely to trade them out this week, and then they're likely to get a 120. So again, unless it's funding a move where, like, you've got, I don't know, like, for example, I want to play Sam Skinner on my field this week. If he's on your field and he's not on your bench, then you could look at downgrading a ruck to maybe Tim English, and then going that guy maybe up to a Sicily or Hewitt, or if you can get higher. That would be the only way I'd be considering doing a move like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be touching the rucks. Hinge, if you paid for him, he was about 380 odd at the start of the year. I think close to 400-ish, maybe 390, then 79, so it's not too bad. You'd be pretty happy with that score. Riley O'Brien, 78. Again, he's got 79 and 78 in the 2 games. So, but funny enough, he's not actually that far off of Gawn and Grundy the first 2 weeks. But yeah, that's probably what you're going to get from O'Brien on most weeks. But 14 touches, some tackles, and 28 hitouts, probably what you'd expect. And yeah, so unfortunately, he's probably only going to average about 85. But then what are Gawn and Grundy going to average the way they're going at the moment? Who else we got here? Nick Dacos, 73. Not bad again. 22 touches, so probably a little bit low for 22 touches. Normally, you get a guy with 22 touches probably closer to 80, 90 points. But 73 from rookie, you're going to take that. Low break-even is going to go up a lot of money, and you're not moving him anytime soon. He's going to get defender status around 6, which is going to be important for people that may have got McCartan on their field and put him on their bench and play Nick Dacos at D6 for a fair bit. Paddy Lipinski, 69. Again, I only brought him in this week. Quite disappointing, but when I'm looking at it, he had 24 touches. He kicked a goal. He only had the 1 mark and 2 tackles. More often than not, he has at least a few more marks and a couple more tackles, maybe. And maybe that's an 85, 90 score. He only attended 9 of 24 centre bounces. So hopefully he can get back on track this week against Geelong, because there's a good matchup for Collingwood the week after. Let's have a look here. So Collingwood have got in round 4. So Collingwood have got West Coast. So it just depends how many players from West Coast are not in the team by then. So not any stat corrections there, because they just updated the game from the first St Kilda game. So yeah, Lipinski hopefully can improve, but yeah, 69 you want a little bit more than that. Josh Rochelle, 69. Again, he went to midfield in the last quarter. I think he had close to 10 touches, so he played quite well. So hopefully, I would imagine that just because the game was over, so just given some extra run. He had 11 disposals in the last quarter and led on the ground along with Pendlebury, and the next closest was Quainer with 9 and Dawson and Moore with 8. So got a lot of the ball in the last quarter. Mind you, 8 of them were handballs, so that it could have been a lot more points, and he had the 1 mark and no tackles. But let's see if he can get some more midfield minutes. Hopefully they give him a few centre bounces, not necessarily like 10, 15, but if he can get 5 or so CBAs a game, then I wouldn't be too annoyed with that, especially as a Rochelle owner. A lot of people owning Rochelle would be pretty happy with that. So Taylor Adams, I don't know what's going on with Taylor Adams. He just doesn't look fit. Only got 57, but he only played 60% game time. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Heaney at the moment. I really don't. So Natalie Howe. So I'll thank you for putting your question in live chat. I'll answer all the questions when I've got through all the games. But thank you for putting it in there. Don't worry, I will get to your question. I'll just get through these games and then I'll answer all the questions in the one hit. But thank you very much for leaving question in. And again, if anyone else has any questions, leave them in live chat or on in the comments below if you're watching on replay. So yeah, Adams, I don't know what's going on with him. I tell you what, if he's going to be playing a lot more game time in a few weeks, which I imagine he will be, he's going to be really cheap, because he's priced at about, I think it was about just over 800k. Let's have a look. Let's go. Taylor Adams was priced at 826, break even at 129, and he scored 57. So he's going to be under 800k this week. He might be a decent shout for an underpriced premium guy that might go 750k or maybe a little bit below. So a guy to keep an eye on. But you'd want to see something obviously from him first, because he doesn't look fit at the moment. He doesn't look quite up to speed. Nathan Creef, you brought him in at 280. Unfortunately, did his shoulder, so he looks like he might be out for a few weeks. But he looked okay up forward. Didn't get a lot of the ball, and he had 5 touches. 4 of them were from marks, and then 2 goals. So yeah, if you had him, you might want to look to move him on to someone if there is someone in defence, and that's pretty much it. If you brought in like a guy like a Pedler, you only got 27. Saligo was a sub, and he came on and scored 11. So if you had a couple of those guys, then probably not exactly what scores you wanted for the next, except Saligo, obviously he's a Medi sub. So go to Essendon and Brisbane, and we'll start with Natalie, how do you have Twitter? Yes, I do. Twitter's in the link in the description below. All the links to all my Instagram and Twitter are all in the links, and you can hit me up whenever you guys want on Twitter or Instagram or in the comments section below my most recent video, or any video really, because I'll get notification. I'll be able to answer any question you have. So all links for all this stuff in the description below, as well as the DT Talk website, which is where obviously you can get all your fantasy stuff off DT Talk. So Lockie Neal, we'll start off with that. What a game he played. 41 disposals, 2 goals, 6 marks, 2 tackles, and 145. There was a few tackles that weren't counted because obviously the guy got a disposal. This could have been over 150. Again, there was a goal that was touched on off the boot. That would have been a 150, but 145. He looked awesome. He looks back to his best. The thing that I was looking out for the most, and I said it to my mate Ryan off stream or off air, I said that if Lockie Neal can get more than the 76% game time he got last week and closer to like the 85, 90%, which is normally what he would play like in during the code year where he's playing 95% game time. I was like, if he can get 85+%, he's going to get a 120 this week. And lo and behold, he played 93% game time and he got 145. Obviously played a lot better than what I thought he would have. 145 was brilliant. And you can lock the 3 votes in for Lockie Neal. But yeah, he looks back, and top 8 midfielder potentially. He's going to be right in the mix. You probably have to have him in there at the moment because he's 118, 145, and he looks awesome. So Very good from him. Dane Zorko, 145. Couldn't let his mate get too far in front of him. Scored the exact same. Obviously, 16 marks and 33 touches was great. Obviously, on one leg as well. So I looked at it, and Chris Fagan came out and said today that it's recovering from his pre-season surgery. So it's not actually calf injury or anything like that. It's just him getting fitter and getting more run into legs. So he's not in any risk unless he gets injured of being out of the team. So, and he looks like he's definitely going to be getting defender status in round 6, playing this half-back role. So if he's doing this, he's going to be a top 6 defender. You can lock it in. He's probably going to be in the top 3 or 4 defenders. So he's going to be an important one in round 6 to add. Again, just let's see what he does in the next 4 rounds. But it is looking very promising at this stage. Darcy Parish, 111 with 35 touches. Look good. And then Zach Merritt with 111. Unfortunately, Zach Merritt, if you didn't see the news that came out a few hours ago, that Zach Merritt is actually going to be having ankle surgery on his syndesmosis, the dreaded sin that we all like to call it now. It's funny that I didn't hear any syndesmosis stuff before last year, because it just wasn't the thing. It's just he did his ankle surgery, whereas now it's all syndesmosis here and there and everywhere. So unfortunately, he'll be out for a while. If you've got him, it sucks because in a way, it's not the worst thing, because the first few rounds you're fixing up mistakes, fixing up stuff. So if you don't have anything. So Nelly, why round 6? Because I'm assuming you're talking about the DPP. So in round 6, 12, and 18, players that have got have only got one position. For example, Aaron Hall last year was a pure forward. He played a half-back role for North Melbourne. He played it consistently over the first 6 rounds and played over 35% game time there, which means he gains that extra position. So, for example, Dane Zorko at the moment playing a half-back role. He's playing over 35% game time in defence. He's essentially lining up there at all times. If he does that for the first 6 rounds, and he's, again, as I said, over 35%, Champion Data will add an extra position to him, because Zorko is a straight mid, so he'll become a defender mid. But, for example, someone like a Jordan De Goey, who's got mid forward, if he was playing defence, for example, he won't get it added. You can't have 3 positions. You can only have one position, then added an extra one. So you can only have a maximum of 2 positions. So I hope that answers your question, Natalie. So, okay, thank you. Yeah, beautiful. No worries. Good. I'm happy to help. So what was... was it? No, it wasn't Zorko, was it? Oh, that's right. Zach Merritt. I was checking his ownership, because I think he was owned by a few people. Okay, 5%. So, but 933, break even of 115. He's not going to drop much at all. He might drop 1K. His break even was 115. So the good thing is you've got a plethora of options of what you can do. You can go to a Andrew Brayshaw, who's looking great, amazing at the moment. You can go to a Touk Miller or a Jack Steele if you want to pay up for that. You can go to a Christian Matrark, who looks insane at the moment with back-to-back 135 plus scores. You can go to an Aaron Hall in defence. You can go to Tim Tarrant up forward. You can go to anyone you want, that's the beauty of not beauty, the silver lining. If you get a premium like Zach Merritt get injured, you can go to anyone you want. Sucks for Zach Merritt, and yeah, so unfortunately got to get rid of him. But Parish could be good for Parish, but it could be bad for Parish, because he's going to be the one that's going to get the attention now. So you just don't know what's going to do. Daniel Rich, 104, good score. Obviously, Essendon did kick 15 behinds. He took the majority kick-ins. So again, that probably was inflated with kick-ins, but that's just what you're going to get with Daniel Rich. So anywhere from 80 to 100 is probably most weeks what you're going to get with him. Jared Lyons, only 83. Again, he's just not worth that huge price tag. He's playing forward. Could he get forward stats? I don't know if he's lining up there enough, but something to keep an eye on. Peter Wright looked good for 103, by the way. That first quarter, I think that's the most I've seen in a long time for a player. 72 points in the first quarter, 11 disposals, 8 marks, 2 goals. He looked unstoppable, and he looked like Essendon were going to take the game away, but they just didn't keep it going. So, sorry, just had an itch on my foot. So Lions not really the score you wanted. Jordan Ridley, 72. Unfortunately, this is just Ridley. You're not going to get that 90-plus average. So if you do have him, he would be a guy that I'd be happy to move on, because he's not going to be in the top 6 defenders. So you can move him on to someone a little bit more expensive. But then again, there's not too many defenders that are screaming out, trade me in. So, yeah, just that could be up to you. But I'd probably look at moving him on if you wanted to do that. Noah Answorth, 66. If you've got him on your field, that's not bad. He's about 340 odd, I think. So he's going to continue to rise in price. He's probably not going to score much than 70, 80 points in a game, but he's going to get you probably your 50 and 60. So you'll take the 66, same as McCartan as well. So those two guys, you'd take that. Stringer, 65. He did look a little bit underdone. So obviously, you're not. If you've got him, you're not bringing him in. So if you don't have him, you're not bringing him in. You're going to wait, obviously, and see what he does, and if he can be a top 6 forward. Let's just wait and see. Maywood Merritt out, maybe a bit more responsibility. He's got to go on his shoulders. We've got Jai Caldwell, 58. Again, not the score you wanted, but I would say with Merritt now being out for 6 to 8 weeks, this could be a good thing for Caldwell. It looks like she might not be ready next week either. So if you've got Caldwell, I would hold off trading him out. Wouldn't trade him out. And if you're looking at him, maybe look at him this week to see exactly what his role is. But I think he'll be good this upcoming week. Andy McGrani, 57, played a bit more midfield as well, and then off half back. So I think he'll still get his defender status, but maybe not going to be. He could be a top 6 defender, but let's just find out and let's see how he goes over the next few weeks. Maybe Merritt going out means that he goes in midfield and he won't get defender status. That's something to keep an eye on. Cam Rayner, only 43. Unfortunately, if you probably got him, he's probably not going to get enough midfield time to score consistently. He's still playing a decent amount of time forward. So if you've got him, I would look to move him on. If you haven't got a Sherry yet, I'd look to get him. If you don't have Will Brodie, maybe you could bring him in, even though I am still nervous about Will Brodie. And I might even go on a rant when I get to the Freo game. Could bring in Paddy Nash, got 92 today. Maybe with West Coast, you maybe want to steer clear of their players. But if you're looking for a cheap player, Nash looks good. He's got a wing to himself. I'll obviously go into a bit more detail with him later on. But yeah, that few people there, or you can go up to maybe a Gresham or someone like that from Rayner. And I think that's pretty much it from that game. Yeah, Jackson Priney scored 12 points and he wasn't even the Medi sub. So he's probably not going to score enough. He could even be dropped out of the team, played 70%. So yeah, just not what you're after. So we'll move on to the Hawthorn game. I will answer your question, Steve and Young as well, when I answer the question thing. But thank you for leaving that there as well. And now the other question as well, I will get to that as well. So Port and Hawthorn, what an upset. I didn't expect that at all. And it's funny because the top 4 scorers and all the scorers over 100 were all over 125 and they're all Port players. And they just... I don't know. I just don't know what they were doing. But Boat 152, he just doesn't drop off, does he? He is the Tom Brady AFL. Just every year he somehow gets better, and he's defying logic. 39 disposals, 7 marks, 9 tackles, 152 points. I thought maybe at the start of the year he might have got forward status at some point because he might have played forward, but no, that's not happening at all. He's going to be playing midfield the way it looks, and he looks great. So in draft, if you've got him, then you'll be very, very happy with that. Carl Amon, 148 with 38 touches as well, 8 marks and 6 tackles. Again, you've got him in draft. It's very good. You're probably not looking at him in Classic. Zach Butters is the one, however, in Classic. He got 29 touches, 5 marks, but more importantly, had 11 tackles. And he just wanted to tackle at every opportunity he can. I just worry that he's going to get injured at some point from just putting his body in the way so many times. For such a small guy, he puts his body in. He looks so good. He looks like a top 6 forward, and yeah, 100 D7, you're definitely taking that. He's not even playing full midfield role. He's playing like 50-50, but he's just scoring so well. Ollie Wines as well, 126. I thought he'd have a good game against Hawthorn. He did 36 touches, 126. If you've got him, you'd be very happy with that. Tom Mitchell, 98. Again, he looked better than what he did last week. Obviously not what you paid for. Still played 84% game time. He still tackled at times. Hawthorn probably just didn't need him as much. But again, I don't think I'd be trading him out per se, unless, again, if you've got some issue that you need cash and you've got nothing else to do, then you can. But I wouldn't be trading out a guy like Tom Mitchell because you are going to bring him in at some point in the year. But for non-owners, he's obviously going to go down close to 900K, and he could be an option to bring in at some point in the next few weeks. Josh Ward, 85, looked good, a lot better than last week. Obviously played a bit more game time as well this week. I think he ended up having in the 80s in terms of game time, I think. Okay, maybe not. 71%. You probably want him a little bit more. Conor McDonald, obviously, and had 73 as well. So those two younger guys didn't have as much. But yeah, Ward looked good for 85. He's just showed he's safe enough to play on the ground. So if you have him on your ground, then that's good. I had him as emergency, and I had Hoff, so I benched Horn Francis because I thought 85, you're going to take that from a rookie. But then again, Horn Francis got a 78, so only got me 7 points. But then again, that 7 points could have been difference between me being ranked 15,000, maybe 17,000. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is there. Sicily 79 did okay, got the job done. You're happy with an 80 from Sicily when you're paying that for him. He's going to be solid with his 70s and 80s. Probably not too many hundreds, but yeah, look good. So 77 be happy with. Houston 71 did go off with a bit of a hamstring complaint, but again, I did say that Houston is capable of giving you a 70 and an 80 and then a 60, but you'd be happy with the fact that he went off and he came back on. So it looks like he's fine. So if you've got him, you'd hold him, obviously. Colin McDonald, 66. It's good for a guy that I think not as many people have got him on the bench as what I thought. I thought a few people would have him on the bench because of the lack of rookies. So he is only owned by about 17%. And I thought it'd be a little bit more. So lockout has lifted for anyone that is wanting to do their trades now as well. So it says lockout, but prices haven't been adjusted. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I'm sure they'll be adjusted in the next few minutes or half an hour or so. But there, so you can make your trades if you want. So your Colin McDonald got him prices, break-in was low, so he'll make money. Lockie Jones, if you got him 59, he looked good in the second quarter, but besides that, I think he got 30 points the second quarter, but besides that, you didn't really see him too much. Tom Phillips came on. When did Tom Phillips actually come on into the game? It's the second half, and he scored well, but again, just you're not bringing Phillips in. But yep. Josh Sin, 36. Again, probably not exactly what you want. And I'd be a bit nervous that he's going to, unfortunately, make way for this week because Bourbon played in the reserves. You got DeMont as an emergency. Sin's probably going to make one, unfortunately for him. It wasn't his fault, just Port just didn't play that well and he didn't get too much of the ball. So, yeah, unfortunately, if you brought Sin in, I would say that he's probably not going to be selected this week. But then again, you never know. You never know. He only played 68% game time as well, so that's something to keep an eye on. Sam Skinner got 33. Again, I think he'll hold his spot because Port need key defenders because they've got no key defenders. They got McKenzie and Jonas, but they need that tall back there. And Skinner's that guy, unless they bring Finlayson back there. But again, they need Finlayson forward because they're getting forwards injured. So I think Skinner will hold his spot. But if you had him on ground like myself, not exactly what you wanted. But then again, I didn't really expect anything. I was hoping for a 50, but I thought if he gets a 30, I'm not going to be surprised. And he got a 30. And then maybe might have been Hive Port played better, but yeah. And then Mead only got 21 as a sub. So yeah, I don't know if he's coming into the team anytime soon with Port losing. And I saw a guy in one of the leagues I played had Mead captain. And I think he had Lockie Neal vice captain. And I think he had Toot Miller on his bench as emergency. So that would just be a lesson for anyone that or just, if you've got a player that's named an emergency, make sure you know that they're not playing and they're not the medi sub, or try and go for someone that's been completely dropped out of the team or is injured. Because if they come in as a medi sub and then they do come on late in the game and score you 10 points, unfortunately, that's going to be captain score. So just that is a lesson. If anyone does have that in the future, just make sure that your your guy that you're putting as your loophole captain isn't playing, because yeah, a few people might have got caught out this week with a guy like me. So we'll move on to Gold Coast, Melbourne. And I'll speak with Toot Miller and Christian Matraka in sort of this. Actually, no, I'll speak about Toot Miller first, actually. So Toot Miller, 147, 38 touches, 6 marks, 7 tackles. He pretty much made what I said on Friday, just throw it out the window, a pile of garbage, because I thought, yeah, Rao's going to be in there and going to be better than obviously the last year, and Toot maybe will suffer because of it. Nah, he's not suffering. Toot's going to be Toot. He's going to be in the top 8 midfielders, and he's fine. So if you've got him, then he's going to be good. And yeah, he was very, very good against Melbourne. Melbourne do give up points to midfielders, but it doesn't matter. Toot's he's a gun, isn't he? And he looks like he might have been the better pick out of him and Steele, because Steele's sort of not really doing exactly what people want him at the moment. So Petrarca, 136. Again, he looks brilliant. Career high, I think 40 touches. I think it was his career high. He looks really good. But yeah, so Stephen Young says they used Rao as a shutdown player and he struggled. So wondering, do you think Gold Coast do that again? I would imagine that they don't, but you just don't know with these teams and what they do with players. But I will speak about round this. I was actually hoping someone would tell me about Real because I didn't watch this game, I watched support games, so I didn't watch too much of this. So that's good to get a bit of insight to that. So I'll speak about him in a sec anyway. Now, Jake Bowie, 125. Now, again, Stephen, if you watch this game, please let me know. Did Bowie play the Salem role? Because if he played the Salem role, he had 34 touches, 9 marks, 125. If he did, he's a decent option to bring in. He was only 367, I think, last week. He'll go up in price, obviously, to probably 390 this week. But he could be a good option to bring in if you've got Miller and he doesn't play this week, or if you've got let's say a McCartan on field and you've got a guy on your forward line you want to put on him, Nick Monk comes back, you can do a switch with that. So if he's doing that role, Jake Bowie, then he's an option. But yeah, I didn't see the game. So if anyone watching, if it's not Stephen, someone else, if they watch the game, did Bowie play the Salem role? That would be my question to you guys. Let me know in the chat if you can. Clayton Oliver, 120. Again, bounce back from last week. Last week was a 120 as well. We just gave away 7 free kicks. But yeah, 120. Oliver, brilliant. He'll be averaging your 110 plus, maybe even 115 this year, and he'll be around the mix of the top 8 midfielders. So can Melbourne have Petrarca and Oliver in the top 8 midfielders? So Stephen Young, I watched half the game and Gold Coast were bombing it in forward a lot, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure how he got those points. Yeah, so if anyone else did watch the whole game, let me know and let us know if he played that rebounding halfback role that Salem does. Because if he did, he's an option. If he didn't, I don't know if I'd be jumping on him because he did dish up, I think, a 50 the week before. So, yeah. Alex, so you had Alex Neil-Bullen got 117. Good for draft. You had him. Luke Jackson, 112. He's going to be a star, taking points off of Big Gorney. If you got him in draft as well, then that's good. Fiorini, 102. Another one good for draft. Anderson, 95. If you picked him in Classic and not enough to really that you want a little bit more from him, I don't think there's enough points for Anderson, Rao, and Toot Miller to all average big numbers. So who else we got here? Jared Witt's 82. Again, you got essentially what you paid for. 82, not bad. And again, especially the fact that the top rucks are not doing what you want. And 82 is not bad. Gorn, 79, same as last week. Again, I didn't watch so much of the game, but yeah, I'm not alarm bells aren't ringing per se for me yet with Gorn and Grundy, but if this happens for the next couple of weeks, then yeah, that's something to start thinking about. Maybe guys that get a lot more marks around the ground over the first couple of weeks, like a Speakano, for example, are going to be options. I'm sure Gorn and Grundy will be fine though, but yeah, just not exactly what you wanted from them over the first 2 weeks. Who else we got here? Anyone else to speak about? Joel Smith, 49. So he was obviously the better pick out of all those defender guys, but obviously not by too much. So Stephen Young, Jackson has taken a lot of his rut time. Yeah, the first week it was pretty much all gone, and then looked like last night was pretty 50-50. So yeah, and then reminds me, and Stephen also said reminds me of what North are doing with Sherry. Yeah, so yeah, that's. I'm pretty sure that Melbourne aren't going to play Jackson in more than Gorn, but maybe that's going to be enough to affect him not averaging over 100. So that's just, something to keep an eye on. I don't know if I'd be reacting just yet, but then again, if you want to jump off of that, then you're more than welcome to. So so last night, Luke Jackson had 10, Gorn had 16. So that's probably going to be about where it's at. It's probably going to be 60-40, 65-35, but hopefully Gorn can score better than that. Matt Rao, only 46. Again, you'd want more than that from him. Again, as Stephen said before, he was playing a tagging role. Again, I don't think Gold Coast is going to do that. But because he scored so poorly, his break-even is going to be a bit higher next week. He's not going to be making a bunch of cash quickly. And because you've got a guy like Tom Green's about 100K more who looks brilliant, there's every option for you to move on from a guy like Rao. He's not going to burn you per se and get your 120s each week. The 117 last week was great, but it was against a depleted West Coast side. He's not going to tag again. He's not going to be this poor again. He's going to get you better than that. But again, if you've got no other option, no other problems, it's not the worst move in the world to move on a little bit early from Rao because he's not going to make that abundance of cash quickly. Same if you started with the Pinsky, and I wouldn't trade the Pinsky out. I'd trade. Someone said, who would you trade out, Rao or Lipinski first? I honestly don't know how to answer that because I've only had Rao for a week. And it looks like Rao's in the middle the whole time, whereas Lipinski might even be fourth choice or whatever. So I don't even know who I'd go out of the two. But I've got Lipinski. I'm not going to trade Lipinski. I'm probably, if I'm going to trade someone, it might be Rao. So maybe that answers that question. And that's about it. So, yep. And I thought Toby Bedford looked good last week. He didn't even come on as a Medi sub. So, yeah, there you go. So I'll move on to the North Melbourne West Coast game, the Sunday game. So Zeeble 127. I saw he scored 24 points in like 90 seconds. Ridiculous. 14 marks as well. He can do this every now and again. They looked a bit more for him today over Hall. That could happen week to week. Could be Zeeble one week, Hall the next. But I think Hall's more often not going to be the guy. So got a mozzie flying around. So I hate mozzies. I hate bugs. Greenwood 120, played well, got a lot of tackles, 29 touches, 120. Again, he's probably going to have to step up with Taran Thomas and Davies Uniacke maybe being out next week. I imagine they probably will. I think concussion for Davies Uniacke, so he'll definitely be out next week. And then Taran Thomas went to hospital with a rib issue, so maybe he's out as well. So something to keep an eye on. Luke Shuey, 103, played limited game time as well for that 100, so he scored quite well. We know Shuey can score well. It's just he gets injured all the time, so you just can't trust him. Larky with 6 goals as well with 110. If you had him in draft at all, then that's good for you. A lot of people. I don't think I've ever seen this many people score the same amount of points. So you had Paddy Nash, Aaron Hall, Tristan Sherry, Josh Walker, Liam Duggan, and Sam Petrovski-Seton all scoring 92. So obviously the more important ones, Tristan Sherry, 92. That's exactly what you want to see. He's playing the majority of time in the ruck at 300 and just over 3, maybe around 350 this week. I still think you can jump on him, and I'll be doing that this week. I wanted to see it for another game, and he looks like the real deal. I know it wasn't against Nick Nat, and it was against easier opposition this week, but he's so cheap that you can take that jump. And then Aaron Hall, 92. Again, solid, not too bad, but again, paying 900K if you brought him in this week, not what you wanted, but again, he's going to be fine. He's going to be good. He'll be better than that. And the next few weeks, it'll probably be one of his worst scores for the year, to be honest. Paddy Nash, 92. The thing that I was most impressed with Paddy Nash is he's been at the club for maybe a month, not even. I think came a week before. So yeah, 3 weeks. A week before the season started, he came. Sorry, a few days before the NAB. The Amy game. So I'm getting mixed up here. So what? Yeah, about 3-4 weeks. He played the second most game time on the ground with 93%. So he looks to me as though he could potentially keep his spot on that other wing opposite Gaff when all of them are back. So I was a bit nervous with Nash this week getting named, but maybe not so much now. So I was going to get rid of him this week for Sherry, but now maybe he's going to make a lot of cash. So I don't know if I'd jump on him now. You've probably missed the boat because he's probably now like 360 odd. So if you want to move on to him, you can. But West Coast, obviously, with their COVID stuff, you don't want to probably bring in too many of their players. But yeah, so if you've got him, though, if you're part of the 2.5% like me, then he's going to be making cash for you. So you're happy. Jason France was 78, went off with a blood rule. Didn't get too much in the first quarter, but after quarter time, I noticed him a lot. So again, he's safe as houses to put on your field. With Dacos, it could still be a good move to have one of Ward and Horn Francis on the field, and if you can loophole but one of them, you can and get the better score. But I think if you're going to trust one, it's Horn Francis over Ward, because Horn Francis has been generally plays more game time. So Horn Francis only played 72% today. He was off for a bit with the blood rule, so maybe 75 to 80% more what he'll do. But yeah, he's really good. Tim Kelly looked good in the first half and the first quarter especially, but died down as the game went on. Again, just needs to get more fit. So again, you want to see more from him before you'd look at bringing a guy like him in. Luke Foley, 74. That's good. He was on, I think he was on like 20-something in the first half. So he came back quite well in the second half. So in the first quarter, he only got 13 points with only one touch, couple of tackles. Second quarter, he only got 5. So, yeah, he was not even on that. So it was the last half that he really got going. So 47 points in the third quarter. And in the last quarter, he got 9. So, yeah, funny enough, it's only saved really by one quarter. So if you've got him, you'd be happy. But I'd be nervous as to he could lose his spot when all those guys come back. So there you go. If you did have Willie Rioli as well, 85 with 4 goals. If you had him as a cheap forward, you'd be happy with that score from him. Who else we got here? Yes, as I said before, Taran Thomas was out with that rib issue. He will probably be out this week, depending on what happens with that. Yeah, and Goldie with only 40, so it just shows that Sherry's the main guy there now. So if you're looking, again, as I said, to jump on Sherry, you can do that. And that was pretty much it from that. And in terms of the rookies from West Coast, they're probably not going to play more than probably the game they play on the weekend, because all the guys are going to be back from last week will probably come in. So, yeah, all those guys. And those could even still get moved out of the team as well. But, yeah, those guys like Dewar, Aaron Black, not the one that played for North Melbourne and Geelong, which I thought it was. It's he's just playing the waffle, and I think he's 29. So it's good to see him kick his first goal as well. 29 years of age, kicking your first goal. It's not many people generally do that. So, and all those West Coast guys probably won't be in the team next week. So, just keep an eye on teams. And I don't think I'll be bringing any of them in. So Richmond, GWS, Jaden Short with 131. Good score from him, 33 touches and 10 marks. As a guy that had him playing against me in multiple matchups, he was probably the main reason I lost them. Which sucks because I didn't own him. And unfortunately, Short does this, though. He goes and gets you 61 week, gets you 130 the next. He's not going to be as bad as the 130 got last week. But, you 131, you'd be happy. Is he going to be a top 6 defender? You'd like to think so. But just, you're good. You're good with him. And if you trade him out, then obviously, that sucks. And, again, Crispin and Short have just shown you don't trade your premiums out in the first few weeks, because you can normally find something else to do. But unless you have to get that cash from them to upgrade, you don't trade your premiums. And Short and Crisp showed why you don't do that this week. Taranto 104 again. I thought again he'd average 85 over the first 6 rounds, but he's just does not listen to me, and he just keeps getting hundreds. So if you started with him, great. You're getting a guy in your forward line's getting hundreds, even though there's a couple of guys doing that. But you're not going to get rid of him this year. And he's a guy that all of us are going to bring in at some point this season, and probably not as cheap as what we thought. We probably thought he's going to get down to 800K, but that doesn't look likely. Josh Kelly, 104, played well, couple of goals. Probably want a little bit more, but 104, any ton you're pretty happy with from him. Tom Green, 102, he just looks good, doesn't he? So if you're looking at bringing him in, I think he's a good option. He now is the better option over Lipinski. And so he played really well. He's playing the ruck, which I don't get. I don't know why the Giants didn't play Bruce. That still baffles me. They didn't play Bruce. If like with Flynn, Bruce was fit, I would have played both. Bruce can play forward. Flynn can play forward as well. I just don't know why they didn't play both of them. But that's not for me to decide. That's the selection people at GWS. Daniel Rioli, Calvin would be happy with Rioli, 101. If you've got him, you'd be happy. I wouldn't be bringing him in off of this game. But, if you've got him, you'd be happy with the 100. Canelio, 98. You probably wanted him scoring hundreds, but again, 98 you're not complaining with in your forward line. I normally go for it. Defenders and forwards get 90 plus. Midfielders get over 100, and your rucks generally get over 100. You're pretty happy. And if they get under that, then that's when you're like, well, you're not pretty happy with them. But 98, you're pretty happy with that. Probably, I don't know the CBA numbers from today of Canelio, but look like a 50-50 split, which is what we were told in pre-season. If he can average 95 plus, then he'll be a top 6 forward. Lachie Whitfield. So I saw Stephen Young said, I think Whitfield had a big last 10 minutes for the 88. Is he a concern for you? So, Whitfield got 88. He did get a few points in the last quarter. He got 26 points, and quite a number of those points came late. I'm not concerned with Whitfield. It's just I'm disappointed with what he's put up so far. We all thought he's going to get back to that 100-plus best, but he hasn't. I just, as Stephen, as I said before with Crispin Short, I wouldn't be trading your premiums out unless you have to upgrade, like something that you can't do without getting rid of a premium. Like, for example, if you've got Skinner on your field, you need him off your ground. If you don't have Hewitt and Sicily, you could go one down to Hewitt and then the other one up to Sicily. So that's the only way I'd be trading Whitfield. But he'll be fine. But just not exactly what you want. I thought he'd be better than that against Richmond, that's now 3 games in a row now. He's gone under 95 against Richmond, and he's always played well against Richmond. So I don't know if they put more attention to him, but just not what you wanted. Who else we got here? Rouse Smith got 67. He looked good. He looked a bit like Zach Bailey in terms of his the halfback version, in terms of like a more of an impacting more than scoring. But 67, you'd be pretty happy with that if you've got him. I wouldn't be jumping on him yet because I still think that I don't know if he's going to be in the best 22. I think Rioli's got that position over him stitched up. Obviously, Grimes will come back in, and so will Vlosten. And I think Vlosten will probably come in for Rouse Smith, but something to keep an eye on if he stays in the team. Unlucky for Phil Davis that run and chase that he did. He probably didn't have to do. He probably should have thought more about getting injured, but that's just the player he is. He just wants to give his all at every contest, and he doesn't want to give anything up. And unfortunately, he looks like he'll be out for a while. So yeah, that sucks for him. Gibcus 38. If you had him on field, it sucks. If you had him on your bench, he's probably not going to make not too much money. And I didn't even realize Robbie Tarrant played today, to be honest. He's got 25, but I didn't even notice him today. Yeah, 2 kicks and 6 handballs. Yeah, I just didn't even notice him. So there you go. So that's pretty much it from that game. And then the final game. Okay, so first up, I got to get this out of my system. I got to get this rant out of my system. So, oh wow. So Andy Brayshaw. Okay, actually, no, I'll speak about Andy Brayshaw first, and then I'll get into the rant. So Andy Brayshaw, 181 points, if you don't mind. At least I think James Walker asked me in the preseason. He said, "Who would you pick out of Brayshaw and Kelly?" And I said I'd go Brayshaw. I think I said Brayshaw. Pretty sure I did. If I didn't, then I apologise. But I'm pretty sure I said Brayshaw. But if I didn't say it then, I'm definitely saying it now. He just looks so good. 40 disposals, 10 marks, and 8 tackles. We know that he can do this because he can do everything. But the more impressive thing is he's playing a lot more game time. So 82% this week. I think he played about 84% last week. Last year, he was playing in the mid-70s. So clearly, he's being entrusted with that number 1 mid-role. If you're looking at bringing someone in, him and Petrarca look like the 2 guys that you're going to bring in. And 181. That's the biggest score I've seen in a long time. Because last few years we haven't seen these 170+ scores with with your Rockies and your Titchers in the past, and Dane Swans and guys like that, and Brent Stanton, my guy, from past scoring like 180s. But yeah, that's the first 180 I've seen in a while. But yeah, that's unless I missed something. But yeah, very good from Brayshaw. But yeah, so I'll get this out of my system now. So what is up with Will Brodie's time on ground? I don't understand. So in the first quarter, he was off for about the first half of the quarter, and he came on for the last bit, and I think he went off for like the last minute of the quarter. And just he stays off for over 10 minutes of a game time when he's off the ground. So he played 61% game time, and to his credit, he still scored 109, right? But it's a bit of a I just don't get what Justin Longmuir and Freo are doing with their midfielders. Like, so Sarong played 81% today, played more, but last year he was playing 70%. Sarong was playing, Brayshaw was playing in the 70s. You recruited Will Brodie on big money, and you're playing him on the ground 60% of the game time, and you're putting guys like Switkowski and I saw Collier going to 1 or 2. You see guys like that going into centre bouncers over a guy that you paid, I think, 600K for, and you recruited him to be an inside midfielder. And there's no Mundy, no Fife. I just don't understand this. It baffles me. I don't get it. If you can't, and if it is a fitness thing with him, which I don't think it is because he looks fine. If it's a fitness thing, you shouldn't be playing AFL if you can't play that much game time, because you've got to be able to play like most players play 75+%. Rookies is different, first year, but more like Will Brodie's been around enough for a while now. I would just be expecting him to play a lot more than 61% game time. So as an owner, I'm still very happy with this 109 that you got to say from 61%. Just makes it that even more impressive. And as an owner, it just makes me concerned in future weeks where if he is only getting 6% game time and he doesn't touch as much, he's only going to get a 50 or a 60. So he's not going to go much. But you're not trading him after 109. He's going to make a lot of money next week and this week as well. But I'm happy with him. But yeah, I just don't get it. I'm just with some of the decisions that coaches make across the AFL, like there's some things in terms of opinion, but then there's other things in terms of that's just a dumb decision. And like, for example, putting Dawson on a wing, then up forward, then down back, then in midfield, that's a dumb decision for me. You play at a club, you get them settled into a role. Whereas, yeah, I don't get it. So some things I just don't get. But then again, we just have to move on. Not our decisions. We just have to watch and hope that they score points for us. So Luke Ryan, if you trade him out, 127 again. I would have traded, if I owned him, I would have traded him out. So whereas Crispin Shot I would have held, but Luke Ryan is just prone to 40. So, but yeah, if you do own him and you still own him, you'd be happy with the 120, but you'd still be like, well, he gave me a 40 last week. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be a top 6 defender unless something changes. As I said, Will Brodie really good, 109. Had a good all-around game with 26 touches, 6 marks, 7 tackles. Lipinski, mate, learn from Will Brodie. Get some tackles and marks. God damn it. You scored 69. You scored nearly 40. You scored 40 points less. and he had 2 less touches. Come on, Lipinski. Need you to bounce back this week. That's the rocket for Lipinski. So if you own Lipinski, hopefully he rebounds after my rocket to him. Jack Steele, 105. Again, you're saved by the tackles. 13 tackles, 23 touches, no marks. Again, you paid over $1 million for him if you own him, and you're getting bare hundreds. That's not what you want from a guy like that. You've probably put in captain maybe 2 weeks in a row, unless you had a guy like Neil VC or maybe Toot Miller if you had him, or whatever. If you had Andrew Bray, well, Andrew Brayshaw played in the same game, so you can't have had him VC and then whatever. But yeah, you're not training Jack Steele again unless you need a lot of money. You can always go if you went him to Cripps, and that money can fund you going. I don't know if you've got Ben Patton, for example, he didn't play well this game. You can go him to Dawson. I would prefer Dawson and Cripps over Steele and Patton. That's just an example, but yeah, I wouldn't be trading him out. But yeah, just not exactly what you wanted. Hayden Young looked good for 102 as well, 31 touches. Again, if he was 400k, could be an option, but he's 550k or something. So yeah, not an option. Higgins got 100 as well, and Battle got 117. But again, they're not classic relevant. Maybe Higgins for draft. Brad Crouch, 97 for draft. Again, you'd probably want a bit more than that. Sinclair, 97, looked good against. That's 2 games in a row. I just still don't know if I trust him just yet. Brad Hill, 94. We just know with Hill, they can get tagged out of a game and get a low score. Gresham only got 76, but did have 25 touches. So a bit like Pinsky, had a lot of the ball, but just didn't have enough marks and tackles to get a big enough score. That's better. Darcy Tucker, 72. So he got 72 in back-to-back weeks. Again, you'd be disappointed with that if you started with him because he was on 53 at halftime. He did this last week. He had a good first half, had a quiet second half, and only ended up with 72. Exactly the same this week. So unfortunately, you're probably just going to get that from Darcy Tucker. If you've got him, he's just going to give you 70s and 80s. So probably not worth bringing in. And if you've got him, you could move him on if there's another option to bring in. If not, then I guess you're just going to have to hold him. Heath Chapman did better this week with a 67. Ron Marshall only 64. Again, all these rucks are just letting us down. Like Marshall did well last week for 100, but then he goes ahead this week and gets a 60. So these rucks this year have just been poor so far. I think Hayes did spend a little bit more time in the ruck this week, but yeah, you're not trading Marshall, but yeah, just not what you wanted from him. Jack Hayes, 61. At quarter time, I thought I wasn't fielding him, and I thought, crap, I missed a trick here. But he scored 36 points in the quarter time, got a 25 points after that. I think a 60 is probably what you're going to expect from him when he hopefully stays in the team, because I think he just works really well. And I don't think Ryder has much to offer anymore. And it's no offense to Ryder, but he's obviously getting on now. He's a bit older. Jack Hayes can offer a lot more than what he is. So I don't if you play all three, can it work? I don't know. I don't think you can play Hayes, Membry, Ryder, and Marshall and King all in the same team. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on if he keeps his spot. Sarong only 60 this week again. So again, if I was owning him, that would be a definite trade. It just hasn't worked. He was around the ball a lot as well, played enough game time. He's just not he's not just accumulating the points that we want. So yeah, I'd be moving him on. Patton, 59. Again, it's not awful, but for a guy, if you're paying 400k for someone, you want them to get in consistent 80s and 70s. And unfortunately, he just showed that he's not going to be consistent enough, so probably not an option. Nasai Wangani Miller got 53. If I was going to pick out of him and Sin, I personally would have gone Wangani Miller because I just thought his job security is better, and I thought Sin was almost guaranteed to be dropped this week unless he had a blinder. But yeah, so Wangani Miller, 53. I don't know if you can bring him in. Something I've thought about is, could I bring him in for Miller and play one of McCartan or him on field and do a loophole thing? That'd be the only way I'd do it. I wouldn't pay that much money unless you're going to play him on field. I wouldn't be paying that much for the bench because you probably got DeConning and McCartan on your bench, or maybe a Skinner as well. So you probably got the guys like that on the bench. So just something to watch as well. Sean Darcy, 45. He went off injured as well. Unfortunately, just the poor guy just can't just catch a break. He just unfortunately keeps getting these little injuries. It was rolled ankle. And let's just see if he misses this week. I'm not sure if he'll play next week, but yeah, just something to keep an eye on. O'Driscoll did come on for a little bit, scored 11 points, scored a really nice goal to give for a little bit of hope, but I just thought, yeah, St Kilda played better today, so they weren't going to win. But yeah, if O'Driscoll gets named, then that's someone to bring in because he's 190k. He's been around the mark all pre-season, came in. Maybe with Freya's injuries, maybe he might get pushed out again, but he could be a guy at 190k you could bring in at some point. So just something to keep an eye on. So there you go. So did my ranking at all get changed? So I went up 100 spots? Okay, so 15,454, and I didn't get that. So the prices have adjusted now. Okay, that's good. So there you go. So a guy, like, as I said, like Payne Ocean, nearly 400k now. So you're not looking at bringing him in now. Well, Will Brady's 467 now. Break even of 5. Okay, yeah, definitely not trading him. You also got here Rochelli's now 382, which is great. So he's banged near 400k. He's got to break him still -2. Nick Dacos nearly 400k as well. So break even -4 as well. So yeah, Matt Rao break even to 50. So he's not going to make as much money now as probably quickly as what we thought. Lipinski, break even to 69. So he's going to have to get 100 this week. So yeah, this is the week. If Lipinski doesn't do it for me this week, he'll go next week, but I'll keep him for another week. Paddy Cripps is now 750. Break into 56. He's going to continue to go up. Lockie will break him to 66. If you didn't have him pre-season, I'd be jumping on board now. He's 850. He's going to get more expensive, and he looks to be in the top 8 midfielder guys. Well, Skinner went up 7k. At least he didn't go down, or at least, sorry, didn't stay the same. And yeah, there we go. And yeah, Chris went down 6k, and he's now got a break in of 108. So you're not losing much on him. So yeah, so if you want to check all the player prices going up and down, then you can do that as well. But yeah, a lot of my players, personally for me, went up, which is good. So let's get in these questions. Apologies for people that have had to wait, but yeah, we'll get in these questions and then we'll be off because I'm hungry. I want to go eat something now as well. So Adam, Pathly Wild, I saw you put this in before the video went live. So thank you for putting the question in so early, Adam. But he asked, would you rather downgrade Titch and Rob to Neil and Witts with around 240k spare, or just trade in 2 rookies that are playing to have more green dots? I would definitely be going for the more green dots approach. I think that Titch is still going to be fine. If there's a way that you can get Neil in somehow, then I think that wouldn't be a bad move. But he's not a must have. But yeah, and Witts and Rob going to be pretty similar. I would definitely be looking at the green dots at this stage of the season. Maybe if it was round 10 or so, you could think of doing something like that if Titch was still struggling. But I think it's round 3. You want as many people playing as possible to make as much money, so then you can upgrade your team as the year goes on. So yeah, I'd be definitely going for that green dots approach. So Natalie House says Heaney for Dusty. Yep, I'd be definitely ticking that off. Dusty, we don't even know how long he's going to be out for. Heaney looks like he's got this role. I would say if you don't have Butters, I would go get Butters over him. But if you've already got Butters, I would say Heaney's the pick. Degoe is not another bad option as well, but yeah, Heaney's a great option there. Stephen Young says, hi, mate, question for when you answer them. Gawn is a concern for me. I think his ruck time is down because of Jackson and really want to get English in to free up that 100k. I have Skinner on the field. Okay, yeah, so as I spoke about, if you've got Skinner on field and you don't have a Miller or someone on your bench and it's literally just Skinner's on your field, that's an option where you could consider going Gawn down to English and then using that money to go up and get someone. I definitely wouldn't be opposed to that because Gawn and Skinner compared to English and, I don't know, let's spitball here. Let's say you're going to make a couple 100k from that. I don't know how much money you got in the bank per se. Be interesting to see how much money you got in the bank. But if you can get up to a Sicily or a Hewitt, or if you can even go high and get a Dawson or someone like that, then that's definitely something I'd consider. But yeah, 15k. So if you've got the only thing is though, there's not really anyone in that 400 to 500k range that are like, yeah, you've got to jump on. So maybe Bowie if he's playing this Salem role, if he's playing the role, I don't know. So you've got Sicily and Hewitt already. So yeah, thinking about it a bit more now, if you can just get 100k to get up to like an Asai Wangani Miller or something, or I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. Only options Miller. Yeah, I wouldn't be bringing Miller in because I just don't know. The way when Nick said it's better for him to play in SANFL and get his fitness up. I'm played AFL football, but I played local football, but I didn't play at obviously the highest level, as everyone knows. It's better to play in the AFL, just get your fitness up there because that's where you want to be playing. It's just better to play at AFL level. So yeah, I don't know, but Yeah. So Nelly, what are your thoughts on Jake Lloyd? Answer whenever you can. So I like Jake Lloyd. He'll be solid. I don't think he'll be his 110 average that he was a couple of seasons ago. He'll be a solid 95 to 105 most weeks. He might give you an 85 every now and again, maybe an 80. But yeah, he's solid. He's one of the guys, if you're looking at a defender to upgrade to, I think if you want to get a crisp, I think the 51 was an outlier. You can always jump on him. Hull, if you can afford him. Doherty's a good option, and Lloyd will probably be the other guy. They're probably the guys I feel safe with. Maybe a Dawson for a bit of a cheaper option. They're probably the guys there that I'd trust. I don't know if I trust Short enough. I know he scored big today, but I just don't trust him enough to bring him in. Next one we've got here. So this is yes, last one. Because I answered Stephen's one about Whitford being concerned, and I said probably I don't think he is. So Woofy Luke said thoughts on Gawn and Chapman to English and Sicily. Okay, so if you can do something like that, I don't mind that. I'd tick that off. That's not a bad move because you're getting a guy that's still scoring hundreds. The only thing I'd say is if Steph Martin does come back in, which he could come back in at some point, that option doesn't then scream, I have to do it because Gawn's going to be fine. If you want it, the way I'd say it is if you want to do that, you can do that because it's not a bad option. But I personally probably wouldn't do that only because Gawn's going to be fine, I think, right? Again. English, if Steph Martin comes back in, I don't think he's going to be scoring hundreds consistently enough. He's probably going to still average 90 plus. And then Sicily, they played really well. It's like he got a 79. So he's probably not going to have as much of those 100 plus point games. If Sicily was going to give you 95 plus points more often than not, I'd tick it off. But Chapman can get you a 60. I'd get rid of Chapman if you can go up bigger to someone. But yeah, if you can only do that, if you want to do that, I'd tick it off. But I probably wouldn't get rid of Gawn. I'm still staying strong with the whole set and forget rucks. And it'd be funny that the year I do and start with both, that they both don't end up doing the business. So there you go. So anyway, that's it for the weekend forecast. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me again on a Sunday night. We'll be back again live on Friday at 4 o'clock Adelaide time. So 4:30 for pretty much everywhere else except WA, which I think is 1:30. I'll be going live then. And then obviously every Sunday night I go live straight after the last game. So again, that varies in terms of what time I do go live. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support you guys leave on the channel. If you want all my social media links are on the description below. So make sure you go and follow me on all those socials. If you have any other questions in terms of your trades, any general questions, +3s, -3s, leave them in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram. Links are in the description for those, for any questions you guys have. And yeah, make sure you head over to DT Talk and check out all the content coming this week. Obviously, the weekend forecast written article is obviously up every Friday morning. So if you guys are into reading that, I do that every Friday in the morning. So check that out. So yeah, good luck for the rest of the week, guys. Have a good week, and I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. Cheers.